What's up guys, it's iGalaxy, and today we're going to be talking about the actual best decks to invest in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Now, I can easily just go into Duel Links Meta, pick a tier 1 deck, and just slap best in the title. But we're actually not going to do that today. We're actually going to be talking about the actual best decks to invest in. Like, if you have extra money, what are the best decks to actually buy? If you have extra gems, what is the best deck to get? And if you're a free-to-play player, what is the actual best free-to-play deck? So, let's get right into the video. Now for structure decks, the best structure decks to actually invest in is actually going to be Neos Fusion. Neos Fusion has actually been one of the best decks since it came out, just because of the fact that you can just slap it into any deck and it will most likely make it work. Not just that, it'll give it consistency because all you need is going to be a Neos Fusion and you can bring out a big Brave Neos monster. And on top of that, you can protect your Brave Neos by banishing a Neos Fusion from the graveyard. So even if you hate this deck, this is actually one of the best structure decks to get. Now you can always go and get something like Desperado Bell Dragon. That's actually a really good deck too, but you can't really slap that onto any deck. Like, you're pretty much limited to Dark Machine decks. But regardless, it's a really good deck. I should probably get a few copies of this myself. I only have one copy, and that was just to make a free to play deck on it. Now the second structure deck that I would recommend, it's honestly, in my opinion, the second best structure deck that we've had, and that's gonna be the Silent Magician, the Spellbound Silence deck. Now you can actually slap Silent Magician into any spellcaster deck. You can put it in Light Sworn, you can put it in Dark Magicians, anything. It's actually gonna be really good because it can negate spell cards, and on top of that, once it gets destroyed, you can bring out a big level 8 Silent Magician with 3500 attack. It's not just about them, it's actually about the Gold Sarcophagus. Gold Sarcophagus is actually really good. It can help Shiranui decks, Thunder Dragons, a lot of other decks that require you to banish. It even works in Metaphys. It makes Metaphys more consistent than what they already are. And this is, in my opinion, the second best structure deck, like I said already. But that is for structure decks. Now obviously, every other structure deck is good in their own way. Like, Ancient Gears can get you to King of Games, and Red Ice can too. Red Ice is probably the best to get, like, as a free to play player, because with one copy of Red Ice Fusion and 3 Red Ice Insights, you can honestly just make a really good Red Ice deck to start off at least. But like I said, the best in my opinions are going to be Neos Fusion and the Spellbound Silence structure deck. Now let's go and talk about free to play decks before we talk about the actual best decks to get. Now for free to play players, I usually just recommend Lunar Lights. But as you guys know, Lunar Lights are actually getting hit. They're actually going to be getting Crimson Fox limited to 2. So this is actually going to give them a big nerf. Meaning you cannot run Neos Fusion with them or Kairoy because they already have limited 2 cards. So pretty much the only way to run Lunar Lights right now are going to be either Pure, and that's going to be kind of hard to do, but I'm pretty sure they can manage. It's just going to be harder because you don't actually have a search card. You have draw power with Emerald Bird, but you don't have anything to actually search. Unless your opponent has an extra deck monster, then you can activate Lunar Light Fusion and then just send a Crimson Fox from the grave. But either way, it's going to be pretty tough to play them. Now the second way you can actually play them is going to be with Predaplants. I haven't tested it out myself, but a lot of people have been playing Lunar Lights with Predaplants, and it seems to be working because they're dark monsters. And the second deck I usually recommend, I'm actually not even good with this deck, Super Heavy Samurais. You can actually get to King of Games, and it's a really decent deck. Now the problem with this deck is that Witchcrafters are a thing now, and negating effects is literally the worst thing that could happen to Super Heavy Samurais. If your opponent negates your effect and you have your level 7 Synchro monster or your wagon, they're pretty much going to negate your effect. That means you can't attack, you can't search for your cards, you really can't do anything with this deck. Witchcrafters literally shut down the entire deck. So unless Witchcrafters get limited or something like that, Super Heavy Samurais are actually out the way too. So if you're wondering what's actually the best free to play deck to invest in right now, it's actually the Air Mages. Now, some of you guys might not like this. It's a really annoying spammy deck and controls the duel, but it's actually really good. Now it's the best free to play deck because you can actually get like 6 of these cards just from the card trader itself. You can get Angelica, Rosemary, you can get Jasmine, you can get Kananga, you can get Bergamot, and you can get the Aroma Garden. That's already a really good start, and the rest of the cards are actually just in a mini box. So all you need is a few gems and you can get these cards really quick. It's a slower paced deck, and it doesn't really have a big boss monster. You pretty much just control the entire field. You prevent your opponents from activating their effects, or you put their monsters in defense and then get rid of them. But they don't really have a big boss monster besides the Synchro, and you don't go into the Synchro too often. But Air Mages are definitely the best free to play deck for you guys to invest in. So if you guys haven't tried them yet, make sure you guys go and try them. Get these cards from the card trader. and then the rest of the cards from the mini box. Now for the mini box, you honestly just need the Blessed Winds, which is a normal rarity, and maybe one copy of the Dried Winds, and that's also just a rare. Now the Humid Winds, you don't really need too much, but it can help you search and things like that. You would probably run like one copy of this. And then the other card you're gonna need is Aroma Gardening. Again, another normal card. There's literally no ultra rares or super rares that you need from a box. This is by far the easiest deck to get in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. And again, it just takes a little time for you to get used to. So now let's get into the actual best decks to invest in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. So if we look at the tier list in Duel Links Meta, they have Black Wings and Shurinuis listed at tier 1. They have Dark Magicians, Elemental Sabers, and Witchcrafters at tier 2. And at tier 3 we have Blue Eyes, Crystons, Cyber Dragons, Invoke Neos, Max Heroes, and Retro Beasts. So which ones out of these are the best to invest in? It would definitely be Dark Magicians and Blue Eyes. Now even though they're tier 2 and tier 3, hear me out. Now Dark Magicians and Blue Eyes, if you ask any of the older players what their favorite deck from the show was or something like that, they're just gonna instantly bring up Dark Magician and Blue Eyes. So because of that, Konami usually tends to give them the most support. That way they're always a top tier deck. So when I first started, Dark Magicians were just falling off the meta, and then Magician's Navigation came in, making them top tier again. Even with the Magician's Navigation, they were falling off the tier list, and guess what came in? The Circle. And it's constantly just getting a ton of support. Same with Blue Eyes. Every time they fall off, they get more support. They get either a Synchro, or just recently we got made in with the Eyes of Blue. And since they're actually falling down the tier list, they're actually still tier 2 and tier 3, so I don't think it'll come up anytime soon. But once they do both reach tier 3, or they both get off the tier list, they're actually going to get more support. So they're actually the best decks to invest in. Now Dark Magician is actually better than Blue Eyes in consistency and just the better deck overall. And on top of that, it doesn't require you to buy any structure decks. The Blue Eyes, some decks do require you to get the Blue Eyes structure deck. So personally I would just recommend Dark Magicians. Now Dark Magicians did get a hit in the current ban list, making Magician Rod go from 3 to 2. And that's going to lose a little bit of consistency, but me personally, I think that deck is actually still going to be a really good deck, because dropping it down to 2 pretty much just made that you open up Magician Rod. Before it was like a 50-ish%, and now it's just 37, so 13% nerf. So you're not going to be opening up Magician's Rod in your starting hand as often, but I still believe it's going to be consistent, because you still have the Circle to search. So you have 2 Magician's Rod and 3 Circles to actually search for whatever you need. Now Circle is limited to the first few cards on top of your deck, and Rod can actually search for whatever, but I think it's actually just still gonna work. It doesn't take much for you to activate your combo. You pretty much just need a Navigation on the field and a Circle, and then just a Dark Magician in hand. So if you start off with Circle and a Dark Magician, you pretty much just have to rely on the Circle getting you a Navigation, and from there you can already just go into your play. So I still think Dark Magicians will still be good. Now another deck that I personally play myself like every day, this is the deck I go into King of Games with, and it's actually Shurinuis. Now Shurinuis always get hit for whatever reason, but they seem to want Shurinuis at the top of the game. Like recently Shurinuis were a tier 2 deck, and with them limiting the Spectral Sword to 3 and the Squire to 2, that actually made them a tier 1 deck, because every other deck got hit. And on top of that, they recently just got some new support in Ghost Meets Girl, Shiranui style. And if the actual Shiranui deck that everyone runs gets hit for whatever reason, then we would have to just find some other way to play them with Ghost Meet Girls. And because when we got this card, we got the actual support for the Shiranuis, nobody played them because Shiranuis were still working. There's no need to fix something that's not broken. So once they get hit, I'm guessing everyone's just going to be playing with Ghost Meets Girls and things like that. But Shiranui is definitely one of the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links right now. Now again, like I said, Blue Eyes and Dark Magicians are the ones that always get support no matter what, just because they're iconic. So you would invest in those. But Shiranuis are actually from a mini box. So if you actually want to go invest into something, you can invest into some Shiranuis. But yeah guys, those are the best decks to invest in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you guys slap a like. And if you guys are new here, make sure you guys subscribe. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.